on the back page of the 2.3 notes that we started yesterday. Okay? So we're looking at multiplication and division properties of inequality. But this time we're looking at it when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same negative number. Underline the negative number part right there. Okay? So that's a very significant thing. It's very different when we are multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay? It's not necessarily super difficult. It's just new and just something you have to remember that you have to do. So the direction of the inequality must be reversed. Underline must be reversed for the inequality to remain true. So if you have a negative, you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, then the inequality must be reversed. Okay? All right, so let's look at an example here. So if we look at number 1, solving an inequality using multiplication and division with a negative coefficient. So on this one right here, we have negative 4x is greater than 16. So to solve this, right, we would divide by the negative 4. Okay, divide by negative 4 on both sides. Now, when you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, of course, that cancels out, but we have to reverse the inequality. So instead of less than, it switches to greater than, and then 16 divided by negative 4 is still going to be negative 4. Positive 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. Okay? Are there any questions on that? Anyone? Okay, that's just kind of new and different. So what did we do? We divided by a negative, so we had to reverse the inequality, and then you still did 16 divided by negative 4. All right, so then when we graph it, it's going to be the same kind of thing. We're going to label this down here, negative 3, negative 2, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, and then negative 5 and negative 6. So, Amaya, are we going to, we're going to have an open circle, and which direction is our line? Going to the left. Okay. So when you divide or multiply by a negative, it reverses the direction of the inequality. Okay. So good job, Amaya. All right. So on example 2b there, I'm going to rewrite this. Just negative 3 over 2x is less than or equal to 6. Do I need to make that larger? Okay. All right. Now, so Carmen, if I want to deal with this negative 3 over 2, this fraction here, right? Look right there on the whiteboard, over there on the top of the second board in the top left corner. How do I deal with this fraction?
6.
Nope. The x is right. The x is over here. So I need to deal with this fraction. So right up there, I multiply by the reciprocal, right? So we're going to flip that over. So like right here, we're going to multiply by a negative 2 over 3. Okay? So we have negative 3 over 2. So we're going to multiply by negative 2 over 3. So if I multiply on the left by negative 2 over 3, what do I have to do on the right? By?
2.
Yeah, negative 2 over 3. Now, we're multiplying by a negative number, right? So this right here, that's going to cancel out. So on the left side here, we're left with x. And then, Carmen, what do I do with this inequality right here?
I don't know.
So like over here, I had to flip it around. So that's the same thing we're going to do right here. We're going to flip the direction of that. So right now it's less than or equal to, but if we switch it around, it's going to be greater than or equal to. Okay, so then we have to do 6 times negative 2/3. Right, so we're going to do 6 times negative 2/3. And so that's going to give you -4 when you do that. Anybody else get -4? Okay. All right, so Chaz, am I going to use an open circle or a closed circle?
Close.
Good job. So we're going to label that closed circle. And then is my arrow going to the right or left?
Right.
That's right.
Hooray.
Okay. Are there any questions on that? It's just when you divide by a negative, you got to make sure that you flip that puppy around. Okay, so I want you to take a minute and try to do some of these right here. Okay, so I'm going to help you get started on number 7. All right. So I'm going to rewrite this just so I can have space to talk about it. Now, I need to get the x all by itself right there. I need to get the x all alone. Right now it says x divided by -3. So instead of divide by -3, what do we have to do? Multiply. All right, so why don't you try to do it from there on your own. So remember, if you multiply on the left by -3, what do we have to do on the other side? Multiply by -3. I'm using parentheses because of the negative. The negative sometimes is confusing because it makes it look like a minus if you don't use the parentheses. That's why I'm using parentheses. So what do we do here? When we multiply by the -3, what happens? Yes. So what happens right here with that symbol? It flips. So instead of being greater than, it's less than. And then what is -4 times -3? No. A negative times a negative gives us, it's just 12. Okay, so everybody make sure that you flipped that sign right there, right? You had to flip the sign right there. Okay, because we were multiplying by a -3. All right, so we're gonna, good job. All right, Ariana, are we using an open or closed circle? And then are we drawing our arrow to the right or to the left? Correct. Did you have a question? I know, I saw you. You did good. Okay. Is there any questions on that one? Who got that right when you did that? Paisley, did you get that right? Okay. All right. What about this table over here? Y'all didn't respond at all. Did y'all get that one right? Okay. Try to engage with what we're doing up here. All right. Now, this next one is a little tricky. It has a couple of extra things in it that we've got to pay attention to, okay? So, Jarrett, you're up. So, right here, Jarrett, we have to get the y by itself. So, like over here, how did we get the x by itself? We multiplied by -3 so it would cancel out. So what are we going to do over here?
Multiply by 2.
Multiply by 2. So we'll multiply by 2 on this side. And if I multiply by 2 on the right, what else do I have to do?
The left.
On the left. So we'll multiply by 2 over here on the left as well. All right. So Jarrett, what is 2 times 0.5? 1. Just 1.
1. So
Now,
there's
this one does not have we're not multiplying by a negative. So this is not going to have to switch right there, right? So over here, I'm just left with the y, right?
Y. Yep.
So, but there's one more step we got to do because my y is not on the correct side.
Flip it.
Flip it. So what would that be if I flipped it?
Y. That side.
So right now, this is less than or equal to.
Yeah.
What do I have to change it
Yeah.
to what?
That side.
So instead of less than or equal to, it's greater than or equal to. Okay, good job. Now, this one doesn't have a negative, so we didn't have to flip it twice. But like on number 9, it also does not. That's confusing to me.
It looks like the middle one.
Why didn't they do that? Can we change this problem? Would y'all be really upset if I changed the nature of this problem? You would?
Yeah. I'd hate
We're
you
gonna
for-
do it anyway.
I'd hate you forever.
I'm just sad that I recorded the video with this in it. All right, so what I want you to do is add a little negative right there on this 2. Okay? So I want that to be a negative down there on that 2.
Why?
I'm going to show you.
You sabotaging us again?
Yes. No. Okay, so I want you to add a little negative. Is this table over here with me?
Yes.
Okay.
That's cold.
Paisley, you with me? Okay, now, Jarrett, we're going to multiply by -2, right?
Yeah.
All right, so over here, we're also going to multiply by -2, like that, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be now a -1. And because we're multiplying by a negative, what happens to this?
Flip it.
You have to flip it. And then this cancels and we're still left with y. But now y is on the wrong side, so you have to flip it again. Like that. That's why I want to do that. Because there are some times when you're going to have to flip it twice.
You're killing me, dude.
I'm not doing anything to you.
You're killing me.
So we flipped it first because of multiplying by a negative. Then we flipped it again because of the yeah.
It's so confusing.
Now, I want you guys to add a negative. Yes, I want you to add a negative right there on that. So it's -6/5m.
So under.
Okay? Jasleen. like we did on number what? Where did we do this? Letter B. Like we did on example B right up here. We're going to do that same thing right here on number 9. Right? I need to multiply by the reciprocal. So what's the reciprocal of negative 6 over 5? Excuse me? What'd you say? Yes. So we're going to multiply it by negative 5 over 6. So if we multiply by negative 5 over 6 on the right, what do I have to do on the left, Jesleen? What do I have to do on the left over here? We're going to multiply by negative 5 over 6 over here. All right, so what do we get when we multiply negative 5 over 6 times negative 12? Negative 5 over 6 times negative 12. That is going to be, what'd you get when you did that? Anyone? 10 is correct. That's what I got. All right, so we're going to get 10 here on the left because a negative times a negative gives you a positive. And then because we multiplied by a negative, what do we have to do to this sign here, Jasleen? We have to flip it. So it flips this direction. Then over here, those two fractions cancel out. So I'm left with just m. But I'm not done. What's the last thing I got to do? Flip it again, right? Because I need the m. I need the m to be on the left. So this will flip again, like that. So we had a flip.
Flip-flop.
Now, so whose turn is it now? Cainsley. Are we using an open or closed circle? Closed. Good job. And is our arrow going to the left or right?
Right.
That's right. It does go to the right. Okay. I want to finish this up real quick. So on this one, we are going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is going to be negative 5 over 2, like that. So you multiply by the reciprocal over here. All right. Excuse me, Jarrett. Am I getting in your way? Sit down. So x is going to be, you got to flip this right here. And then negative 8 times negative 5 over 2. Negative 8 times negative 5 over 2. That is going to be 20. All right, so we're going to put that right here. And that is going to be a closed circle, and it's pointing to the right. How come I didn't have to flip it again at the end? It was already in the correct spot. It was already over here on the left. Okay, Okay, so I want to finish this. A submersible descends 37.5 meters. Let me start over. A submersible descends 37.5 meters per minute from sea level to explore a recent shipwreck. The shipwreck rests on the ocean floor at an elevation deeper than negative 3,810 meters. The elevation of the Titanic shipwreck. How long does it take the submersible to reach the shipwreck? The submersible begins at sea level where the elevation is 0 feet. Okay? Write and solve an inequality to find how long it takes to reach elevations below negative 3,810 meters. Okay, so with this, we want to reach elevations below negative 3,810 meters. So below means we're going to be less than. All right, so we want to be less than negative 3,810 meters, right? Now, we're descending 37.5 meters per minute. So that means descending is a negative value, descending negative 37.5 meters per minute, like that, okay? So M here is going to stand for minutes in this case. M is for minutes, right? Because that's what we're trying to figure out. How many minutes would it take? So it's negative 37.5 times the number of minutes to reach below that. How long will it take for this to be below negative 3,810? Okay, so we're going to divide by negative 37.5, divide by negative 37.5. All right, so over here that's going to cancel. Somebody left with M. And because I'm dividing by a negative, this has to flip directions. And then negative 3,810 divided by negative 37.5. So we have negative 3,810, negative 3,810 divided by negative 37.5. Negative 37.5. All right, so that's going to be 101.6. Okay, 101.6 minutes. So M is going to be greater than 101.6 minutes is what that is. Okay. Okay. Which is like, more than an hour and a half to get to that point. Okay. So let's look at number 11. Number 11, a motorcycle rider travels at an average speed greater than 50 miles per hour. Okay. Write and solve an inequality to determine how long it will take the motorcycle rider to travel 375 miles. All right, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to have in here, we're going to put in here the words at least. At least 375 miles. Okay? So for your paper, it's probably already in there, but it's not in mine, so I need to add that in. Okay, so this is a distance problem, and our distance formula is the distance is equal to the rate times the time. But because we're doing an inequality, we want our rate and our time to be greater than a certain distance. Okay, we want because our distance here is 375, right? When can we get past that? So at least is greater than or equal to. So I need to add that to our little formula here. Okay, so our rate is 50 miles per hour, and our time, we don't know what that is, right? That's the whole question. How long? How long will it take? So our rate times our time, when will it be greater than or equal to 375? Okay, so that's what we're looking for. When will it be greater than that? 50 times t is greater than or equal to 375. Okay, so we're going to divide this right here, and that's going to be, going to put a 50 right there. All right, so that's going to leave me with t on the left side over here, and then we need to divide by 50 on the right side. So then that's going to be 375 divided by 50. All right, so 375 divided by 50, that equals 7.5. All right, so the time would be greater than or equal to 7.5. So basically, that's 7.5 hours. 7.5 hours. Okay, great job.